Back once again, and we are back in the stream of the daily guides from the Science of Mind magazine. Yesterday, thanks to Reverend Jesse, he pointed me in the direction of where to go to get the daily guides, and he actually sent me the PDF of them. Then I kind of looked online, and I figured out there was a back door to get to the daily guides, but not much else. So thanks to Reverend Jesse and also to scienceofmind.com. And then guess what? Today, when I come to do them again, I'm thinking, oh, I got to go read from the PDFs. No, the magazine's back in action again. So whatever issues the company that projects our readings and our daily magazine onto the web is back in action again. So it hosts about, I think, 6 or 7 other different magazines. So whoever subscribes to those online, they're also back in action again. But there's always a way and a means. So a little bit of a glimpse yesterday at Ernest Holmes at a Solomar with Sermon by the Sea. I guess we'll return to that at some stage in the near future. Just little bits and snippets from it. I thought I'd begin by actually reading from the editor. Holly Sharp is the editor of the Science of Mind magazine. And she has a little column every month, the editor's notes. It's pretty common for most magazines, right? I thought I'd read a little bit about what she said at the beginning. She is saying, it's so healing to release the need for perfection, to instead unconditionally love ourselves no matter what the circumstances. This human existence is so fleeting. Why invest our precious time trying to control outcomes and other people's opinions? We are all in the perfect place at the exact right time. She says, your July-August magazine explores the true calling of our souls to love and then love some more, taking a stand for our authentic selves even when we go against the grain. So that's Holly Sharp. She's, as I said, the editor of the Science of Mind magazine. And she's actually a buddy with our senior minister, Reverend Dr. Jesse Jennings, to give him his full title. He's always got a column every month in the Science of Mind magazine. It's 2 pages. It's questions and answers, people asking questions about new thought, religious science, and he's there to answer them, Science of Mind. The readings today actually are written, I believe, for the first time by a gentleman by the name of Reverend Josh Reeves, one of our biggest spiritual centers. It's actually still called a church, Mile High Church. It's in Lakewood, Colorado, just outside of Denver, and he is a co-minister there. It's one of these mega churches, and he actually was one of my teachers when I was in ministerial training. He was pretty good guy. He's kind of happy-go-lucky, but he's always on point. And this is what he says about this month's daily guides. He says, the theme for this month's daily guides is practice makes imperfect. It's also the theme for the whole magazine, actually, this month. He says, this suits my personality. Not only am I one of the most successful screw-ups I know, but also I've learned that behind my foibles, there is grace. Behind my mistakes, there is divine jest. That's the thing about spiritual practice. Until you release the need to be perfect, it isn't spiritual practice. That's the thing about life too. Until you release the need to be perfect, it isn't really being alive. All right? And I just mentioned who he is. He's the father of Nancy, June, and Gavin. He's also, as I said, the co-lead minister at Mile High Church. He says his brother took him to the Oasis teen group in Huntington Beach when he was 13 years old in 1994. So you can figure out how old he is. Due to the love of Mary Feldman and countless other female spiritual mentors throughout his life, and he quotes some like Peggy Price and Linda McNamara, he became a practitioner in 1999 and a minister in 2006. He served in a position he loved as senior minister at the Seal Beach Center for Spiritual Living for 7 years. And then Roger Teal, who was actually then the senior minister at Mile High Church, called. And today he serves in the biggest job of his life thus far at Mile High Church in Lakewood, Colorado. And that's a little bit about Josh Reeves. And if I can just go down a bit, the page that on it, which I can't show you right now because I don't have a physical copy of the daily guides, it's really, really colorful. It's got all the colors of the rainbow in there. It's got flowers in there. It's got leaves in there. And it says, and there's a quote by actually a famous Catholic theologian, Henri Nouwen, who says, "Solitude is not a private therapeutic place. Rather, it is the place of conversation, the place where the old self dies and the new self is born." And that was Henri Nouwen. And it's HenriNouwen. And look him up. He's an interesting character. Different times in my life, I've had to actually read some of his stuff, and it was very interesting. So look him up. He's kind of here making the distinction between loneliness and solitude. Solitude is something that we choose to do, just to go and reflect. Loneliness can be when we're put in a position where we're just kind of separated from society. But that's another story. This is today's reading, finally. And I will catch up and get ahead of the game again. Probably tomorrow I'll do 2 readings, one earlier on and one later. The first quote is from Douglas Adams. If you don't know who he is, he's the author of lots of science fiction stuff. He was a very interesting character. Probably the most fun book he wrote was called The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Look it up. It's a fun book. It really is. And actually, he began by writing short stories for the BBC, British Broadcasting Corporation, on the radio. I think it was on the radio. It might have been TV, I'm not sure. But he was always late in meeting his deadlines. And the producer said to him, "Don't you believe in deadlines?" And he said, "Absolutely. I love the whooshing sound they make when they fly by." That was Douglas Adams. He says, "There's a theory that states that if anyone discovers exactly what the universe is for and why it's here, it will instantly disappear and be replaced by something even more bizarre and inexplicable. There is another theory that states that this has already happened." And you can kind of tell the sort of storyteller that he is. Ernest Holmes in the Science of Mind textbook on page 75 says, very simply, the eternal principle, capitalized, is forever hidden. In other words, the eternal thing that's behind everything remains forever hidden. And this, finally, is Reverend Josh. I am a being forever in flux, held by a changeless reality. That's so much of what this spiritual living stuff is all about. I am forever in flux. I'm not quite the same person I was 10 years ago. My children grow up around me. At times, it's like one of those soap operas when a change of actor or actress would occur. A narrator comes on and says, "The part of so-and-so will now be played by da-da-da-da-da." That's how fast they change, as kids, of course. I'm nostalgic in this flux because so much is now past. But I'm also lost. I can't seem to locate myself in this flux. However, always in my life, I've been able to find myself in the changeless, a sense of timelessness on a morning walk, a sense of connection with spirit while writing down my thoughts, a song that anoints my heart. I am a being forever in flux, held by a changeless reality. Says, now, I'm not saying there isn't a lot of wonderful in the flux, but thank God for the changeless. That's what spiritual living is. It is letting who we are become not just informed by the flux, but also by the changeless. It's allowing our living to be informed by the changeless. Zen Center founder Shunryu Suzuki said, "Nothing you see or hear is perfect, but right there is perfect reality." In other words, life continually changes, but he's saying that behind everything is something that in itself never changes. But in a way, that's true and it's not true. The thing that's behind all reality doesn't change in the sense that it's the thing that brought everything into existence. It's the thing that supports everything, that keeps everything in a state of being. But in the sense that everything that it brought into creation changes, then that, quote, changeless thing does change through its beings. But what Reverend Josh is trying to say here is that there's something behind everyday living. There's something behind the world that you see it that supports everything. And when we turn to that, then we can get a sense of stability in our lives, and we can kind of make sense of all the flux. Shunryu Suzuki, he's quoted all over the place in lots of things. And I often wonder when quotes are attributed to people, how do they know? How do they know they said this stuff? How do they know that Winston Churchill said this? How do they know that Julius Caesar said this? Yeah, some of it's written down, but some of it's not. It's just come down by word of mouth. And I often wonder, did they really say that? Well, so Shunryu Suzuki also said something which is kind of applicable to what we're talking about now. And he said that in the master's mind, there is only one choice. But in the beginner's mind, there are many choices. And what he's saying there is that there's always something to learn, but somebody who thinks they know everything shuts himself off to change. But when you admit that you don't know something, are you able to learn, that opens you up to many possibilities. So that's what I think. Reverend Josh is saying that he has found something in his life that's stable, that beneath all the flux and everything, there's something that's stable that he can turn to and know he can get support from. And that is the changeless reality, quote unquote. So what does it mean for us? I also like that the fact that he says that if you think you know it all, then you really don't. What is it? How does he actually put it? That's the thing about spiritual practice. Until you release the need to be perfect, it isn't spiritual practice. I think that is kind of a cool thing. That's something I've got to write down and think about, because I think it's a pretty cool statement, don't you? In other words, we should always be open to change. We should always be open to the fact that we can grow in all areas of our lives, that we can grow. And spiritual practice really isn't about walking around with a halo in your head, or just going to the top of a mountain and climbing that you find Zen there. Right? Somebody said the only Zen that you find at the top of a mountain is the Zen that you bring there yourself. In other words, it's about just striving to become a little better each day. I think it's a good lesson. The affirmation, I am forever in a flux, held by a changeless reality. I'm forever in flux, held by a changeless reality. And I'm getting tongue-tied. Well, I'm glad that I'm back with the Science of Mind guides again. If the website goes down again, I don't care why, because I've already got the PDF versions, and there's a fly flying around here, which is doing its own perfect thing. It's being a fly. Sometimes they're annoying, but everything in life has a useful purpose. The only thing I've not found out a useful purpose for is fire ants, but everything else does. Flies, yeah, you can say that they bring disease and all the rest of it, but they also help to get rid of lots of dead and decaying stuff, which everything's got a purpose. Probably even fire ants have a purpose. So we're back in action. I will be back tomorrow at 5 o'clock. I may have come back earlier and actually catch us up, so we stay that one day ahead. I'll figure out how to do this as the month progresses. Reverend Lisa will be back tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Check out our website on Facebook, creativelife.org. Check us out on YouTube, Creative Life Spiritual Center, should I say, Creative Life Spiritual Center. You can look at our website. It's still under construction, creativelife.org. It will be a wonderful, glowing new website before too long. But in the meantime, take care, especially in this hot weather. In this part of the country now, we got hot weather going on. Yes, it's normal. We get it every year. And that great statement about stay hydrated and stay indoors from 11 a.m. until November 1st kind of applies. But we're used to it. You know, we have the equipment to deal with it. So, but if you see somebody who's struggling in the heat for whatever reason, see if there's something that you can do for them, even if it's only calling the authorities and getting somebody who's got more ability, you know, and more stuff at their disposal than you do to do something about it. So take care of yourselves until next time. Our always famous au revoir, which of course is namaste.